How to build reliable, secure, and scalable enterprise apps and process automation using low-code and no-code tools. So we're going to discuss some stories and the common pitfalls when scaling, the integration with legacy systems, and of course, use cases in sectors like finance, healthcare, and logistics. So please welcome our panelists, Arjun Sarkar, Vice President, Digital Ecosystem and Partnerships for Dubai Commercity. Welcome, Arjun. Mr. Tarek AbdelKhalek, Senior AI Advisor for Dubai Customs. Mr. Ammar, the Senior Software Developer for Dewa. Shri Lakshmi Banigol, the Group Chief Information Officer for Switz Group. Shan Muthuvelu, the President and CEO of UCBOS. And this panel will be moderated by the Senior Director, Digital and Technology, Commercial Data and AI, Agthia Group, Guilherme, Altieri, do Amaral. Welcome. Welcome, everyone.
Can I do a quick test of the mic? Very good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. And good pronunciation of my name, by the way. Well, congrats, that's a first win. Beautiful weather in Dubai. Good day, good time for a discussion on low-code, no-code, and building some applications, I suppose. It's my pleasure to be here today. A lot of what's happening in the world and the companies today, both in the private and in the public sector, revolves around changing how we're building our applications. I think that's a big part why we're here. And we're going to have this conversation starting with Mr. Arjun Sarkar. It's a pleasure to have you here. Arjun, you come, in this case, representing Dubai Commercity. And the platforms and the way you're developing them there, and from your experience in the market, there is really a way to change, a way that's changing how we build applications today, in a way that businesses are looking forward to using and doing a lot of this themselves versus the IT department. So how do you see the right way forward to bridge this gap between users, IT, and the expectations? And how do these represent, or how do we address risks that these creates as part of the new governance and challenges, please?
First of all, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure and honor to be among the eminent speakers. Thank you, Guy, for moderating the panel for us. And thanks to the lovely audience who have showed up today. So, going to this particular question about bridging the gap, let's take a step back. We have all seen the days of waterfall SDLC. How did it work? Business would give the requirement, then you would have a business analyst who would draft a BRD, give it to the IT team, and then they go and start building. Then we saw the world of product managers, agile coming in, business, IT, co-creating together, and not IT doing and developing things in silo. Now we are talking about low-code, no-code platforms and the world of citizen developers. It's fantastic, right? Citizen developers, business users who understand the business application it needs, the outcomes that are desired, and with the power of low-code, no-code tools and platforms, they are able to translate that concept, that idea, into a prototype, a working product. However, I feel that in the previous session we were talking about human in the loop. I feel there's still a need for IT in the loop. Why? There has to be some guardrails. For all the technical people in the room, I'm sure you don't want to end up in a situation where, in the effort to empower business, you end up creating technical debt. So IT should define the framework, remain an invisible IT. You don't have to go and monitor each and everything that the business is developing, provided you are able to create the framework, the guardrails, which should form the basis for the business to develop those applications. Because when we've all seen Spider-Man, right? Anyone in the room who's not watched Spider-Man? And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. So we are empowering the business. We want to empower the business, but there is also a responsibility angle. And IT's role is moving towards an enabler, creating that framework with libraries, with predefined data objects, which businesses can drag and drop through a WYSIWYG editor and create their own application. So there has to be a fine balance. We all want to move towards a world where business is able to build their own application and IT no longer remains the bottleneck. IT's role is evolving as the enabler to provide business the agility. So yes, there is a need for bridging the gap through the low-code, no-code platform with the necessary framework around it, managed and governed by IT.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arjun. And in that context, and thinking that even today, we were having a quick chat offline before the panel started. Today, you can even tell the agents to build some of the code for you, and talking a little bit about explainability. If something happens when you build something, where is the issue? How does your IT team, in the end of the day, who's still going to be accountable for this, manage this situation? Bringing this a little bit to the context of the public sector, the second question will be to Mr. Tarek, in the context of Dubai Customs, but not only Mr. Tarek. What are the key challenges that you see in ensuring data integrity and also this explainability, not only of the models, but also of what is being supported by the team, especially with this AI context in low-code, no-code solutions, please?
Well, I love exactly what Mr. Arjun said about that was a good quota, big power and big responsibilities as well. That's really why I will start by giving just an example, because I see that most of them, panelists talk about all what I can talk about, so I have to improvise a little bit. Let me give you a simple example. In Australian government, there was a known issue where they actually, for the insurance, they used to, when you are having this unemployment, they provide you with some money. So the thing is, after quite some time, they were in debt using a system called robo-debt. Actually, the government has to pay 2.4 billion for the citizens. Why? Because it was just a decision. It's algorithm built, and they have to pay based on that algorithm. The algorithm is taking the average mainly, which actually is not realistic. Sometimes I can be working, sometimes I'm at home. So the average is not the thing here. It has to be actually as per the legality itself and the policy. So there should be a revision in this case. So what actually brought this is Singapore. Singapore has a completely different thing. They built with the governance inside the system itself. It's not after you are done, you start doing checks. No, it's within the system itself. The system will start checking and build the orchestration governance layer, not just the agent layer in this case. Let me give a little bit of detail here, because we all know by now how governance is important and all these details. Meaning the data itself, garbage in, garbage out, as they used to say. The problem with AI, people take it for granted. When you have a decision by the AI, it's like a holy book in this case. In US, they used to call it like garbage in, gospel out. So the thing is, okay, it's AI taking the decision. How can you actually explain that to your clients or citizens, in other words? And how can you explain it to the court? If there is a problem, you have to go to the court. How can you just say the AI took this decision? No. You have to track it back to the data itself, where there should be audit. Audit here means the attributes, the model used. What are the data? What are the fields? Who touched these fields? Who approved it? Why are you having these fields? The last time, some people talking about accuracy of data. It's not just about the accuracy, about the freshness of data. My data can be changed after quite some time. I move to a different place. All my work, something else. So that's the freshness. The consistency, maybe, which is actually something good here in Dubai, which is UAE Pass. It's a unique identity. But maybe in different places, I can be Tarek, and in other places, someone else, and so on. So, of course, let's say in customs, for instance, I have to approve a permit. This permit having my input as Tarek, I have to apply for some taxes. That's different details. This would lead to a messy thing. So the thing is, all this data has to be consistent. So you have to take care of the format of this data. The model itself that you are using, there should be some sort of versioning. Who said that the model that you are using now is the same model like 3 years back? When this case goes to the court, you'll tell them, okay, the model is perfect, but it's not the same model, not same parameters, not same everything. What was the prompt at that time that you used? It's not the same prompt that you are using right now for a system. So that's actually one of the audits that you should do. That's generally a view about the data. There comes explainability. How can you explain that to the user? You don't have to give the user a matrix, telling it technically it's because of this algorithm. No, it has to be explainable. You were actually applying for this permit. You don't have this document missing. This document actually we suspect that there is some problem with it. So that's explainability. You have to make everything consistent for this case, but you cannot just say, okay, it's just the model did that. That's what actually Singapore is doing right now. By having this embedded into the system itself, even the citizen can dispute the decision. Dispute it on a chatbot, you can say, okay, I don't know why is that. You have to tell me, give me this evidence that this decision was made. So all this comes down to the explainability part.
Very good, Mr. Tarek, and thank you so much. In this context of needing to explain further, what is really happening behind the scenes, it reminds me, even in a different context, but if you think about competitive gaming online, for example, there is now the products like FIFA, which is a very common game. You see they're always explaining the changes to the users. It is the same kind of thing we're going to need to do more and more around the application we use, even to external people, not only to our internal stakeholders. But in this context, Shri, as I think I can call you Shri, as a CIO in this context, how do you see this possibility of accelerate innovation while keeping all these challenges that we're already talking to with Arjun and Tarek in mind, please?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. A quick intro of myself. I'm Sri Lakshmi, a group CIO at Switz Group, a AI patent holder for UAE Ministry for a Gen AI model, and a statistician by profession. The reason I say this is because AI, data, analytics, everything existed all the while. People were using. The only difference is because of the ease of infrastructure, the scalability has improved. I want to touch upon one point that you just said about the gap between business and IT. I would just simply explain that by an example saying, me giving you a violin will not make you a musician. Because when you hold it, you will initially create a noise. Only if you're trained to use it, you'll create a music. So that person who will train you to do that is IT. When I see you creating a music, I'll step back. So that gap should be embraced. That gap should not be discussed. That's my perspective. I don't think IT need to fight for his existence. That's not the point. Because we are the mentors to empower our business users. We are the mentors. We are collaborating with them to co-create value for the organization. That is how it needs to be looked at. There were days where IT was very siloed. They think, okay, don't go there. That is IT. It's a geek world. We don't understand what they speak. It's not like that anymore. Business users comes into meeting preparing. Thanks to ChatGPT. Makes my life very easy. I don't have to struggle to explain them what is the business case. What am I talking about? There are pros and cons. Let's talk about the disadvantages later. So there is a level of understanding of what they want, why they want, and how they want. It's our responsibility to explain them if they are heading in the right direction, what are the steps they need to take and how we can be successful together. So as a CIO, low-code, no-code platforms are actually helping my role and my organization to embrace this change very easily. So I'll replace the word faster from your question, because when we try to run fast, we tend to fall. Yeah. We tend to ignore the basics. So I think we should be relevant. When I say relevant, relevance comes from understanding what you're trying to solve a problem. Is that relevant for your organization or no? Can you actually mount a window on that wall right now? You can't. But with AI, That's what people are trying to do. Put me a window here, put me a bed there, put me a cushion here. Doesn't work. So that's our responsibility as being an IT teams to explain to them that you want me to do that, I'll do, but I have to break that wall. Is that what really you're explaining? Give them that awareness of trying to explain them what works and what not works. So according to me, low-code, no-code platforms are helping me bring innovation to where the problem is existing. In an organization, the people who know what the problems are the people at the ground level who are actually managing that businesses. They are not the middle-level managers, they are not the top-level managers. They are the people who take the heat from your customers. It's the people who go out there on the market and sell your products. Ask them what they want. Co-create your solutions along with them. So these platforms will help me take my solution and innovation closer to them. The second beauty is in the attempt of democratizing the data to all the layers within the organization, we are creating one source of truth. As an IT, if we ensure the right data is provided for everybody to use, then there is only one fact coming out. Maybe the narrative is different, depending upon the context. We should take pride in creating that data. Yeah? And we should ensure the data is relevant. As you said, we should ensure the data is accurate. We should ensure the data is clean. That's the biggest job. When there is no right data, doesn't matter whether it is writing a code, using a platform, who uses it, IT uses it, business uses it, that's secondary. If you don't have the right data to be used, you cannot bring the value. Example, if somebody is trying to do a forecasting of how much will I sell a particular SKU next year, did anybody check if the existing SKU exists in your history data? We miss all these aspects. So IT should play a role of having these basic sets and leave the platform for people to use and co-create that value. So for me as a CIO, I think my life has become very easy that I don't have to explain the people the value. I don't have to really ensure there is security, because when I enable the platform, I ensure security is taken care, right people are seeing the data, they are seeing the right data, everybody is seeing the same data. No, it's not somebody is looking at the trunk and somebody is looking at the tail and somebody says it's a camel and somebody says it's an elephant. We all are looking at the same picture. That's the problem we need to address. I think that's what it's helping me.
Makes a lot of sense. In my personal experience, I've been telling my teams, if you don't understand and you don't make your business's issue yours, you're not doing your job right. So part of it, understanding and helping them use the tool, as you well said, is part of the journey. Mr. Tarek has a comment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just adding, this is really a perfect point. I just talked about the auditability of data, but how about when the model is taking a decision? What is the source for actually that decision? What features actually the model is accessing to get this decision built? And again, that means a versioning of the model. And besides this data, let's say that maybe, I'm sorry to use some technical, but it's like what they call the retrieval augmented, when actually the model starts pulling the data from the tables or whatever, any data source. So what are the sources the model is providing? The model should provide the source at that time. It's not like, okay, I have this outcome for you. No, that's ChatGPT, that's something else. We need here the model to provide you these documents, and actually that exists. That's a very simple thing that can be done. You just ask the model to provide the sources from these documents. Also, it's not just something like this RAG model. Why? Because they call it similarity search. It's, okay, this is similar to this, I'll pull up this. The most important, now the whole world is going to another trend, which is giving huge power to the models, calling it reasoning model, not just LLM models, is what's so-called knowledge graph. Consider it a network that actually is built exactly like everything is connected. If I'm having to approve a permit, I should know this one that I'm approving the permit to in other connections as well on the grid, not just he's a good supplier with me and okay, he's fine, no problem. No, I have to check with other entities, his history, whatever, any other details. There could be sometimes I don't have history for that customer, but through the graph I can get also a history in any different direction or whatever, anything giving indications. That actually very important for the healthcare. The healthcare is built based on knowledge graph. There is no way to do healthcare without knowledge graph. because it's showing all the interactions between all the nodes. So that's another source of truth in this case that should be provided. So data is very crucial here, and I like, of course, to add to what Arjun said about the IT and what you said exactly. I believe that it's moving also beyond the guardrails, and earlier I see some gentlemen start to talk about DevOps is very important. Yes, but I see the more important now is ML Ops. You have to ensure the model always up to date, versioning, what are the tools used, what's accessed, who's accessing it, at what time. All these details will be boiled down to source of truth when I go to the court, when I have to be fair and non-biased. Sometimes they say the model is taking decision based on geographical location. So that's a bias by itself in some places. How can I ensure that's not happening? So I have to monitor that as well. Sorry for getting long.
No, I think the point we all need to emphasize is anything you're trying to do, a feasibility study, that's being very undermined these days. The base, as we move very fast into the complex world, we are missing out on our basics. Is it really somebody doing a feasibility study to understand what you want is feasible or no? I think we should always stick to those basics from where we have come to, and then allow the people to use and learn from that sense of doing a feasibility study before you try to do anything.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Now, moving on, Mr. Shan is the CEO of UCBOS, and you provide some solutions that definitely talk to the forum's agenda, in terms of low-code and no-code. So, Mr. Shan, I understand one of the solutions that your company provides is called Carolium. And I would like to understand your perspective on how the architecture of the solution and what it has embedded on it can accelerate the enterprise agility in the context that we're speaking, please.
Thanks, Mr. Guy. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. My name is really long. It's Shan. When I moved from India to the US, my first manager, he was Thomas. He said he's going by Tom. So he gave me a name, Shan. So from that time onwards, this happened in 1999. After I passed out in 1996 in India, I became a programmer. So I became a programmer in mainframes on AS400. Even back then, in the banking industry, in 1997, as a programmer, I got worked on code generation tools. Meaning, the tool prompts you what kind of application you want to build. Within 10 minutes, you give answers to the prompts, it builds the applications. So code generation tools were always there. Now we call them as LCNCs. But 10 years ago, I have to say 12 years ago, I became a VP in a metadata-based company. It's a Denmark-based company. That's where I learned metadata. Before that, for 12 years, I was doing supply chain, traveling all around the world. Whether it's Europe or North America, Middle East, whether it's Saudi or UAE, anywhere. I just travel everywhere doing supply chain and ERPs. Then, after this metadata journey, I reflected on the code generation tools back then. Then I convened a team in the US in 2014. A group of architects were masterminds. And told them, hey, can you do not do the LCNC, do not generate code, because if you generate code, it becomes a technical debt. It will not truly provide the agility the business is looking for. But if you generate compositions, which are just English or any language compositions in metadata, if that composition is intelligent enough to build a dynamic unified data model, it is intelligent enough to build connectors without a single line of code to begin with or to end with. It is intelligent enough to build applications as an APaaS layer, applications which are enterprise ready even to be at a level of ERPs, meaning SAPs and Oracles, Blue Yonders, Inforce, Microsoft Dynamics worlds, right? And if you can build any type of orchestrations on it, analytics on it, and if you can embed the AI into it, even after embedding AI into that, still it has not generated a single line of code. That means your technical depth is still kept at zero. Then you can say you have business agility. That was our mission 10 years ago. We nailed it. We have applied for the patent. But that does not mean a thing to anybody here, right? Because the proof is in the pudding. We have to prove it to you. So how do I prove in this technology to a CIO like Sri? She is talking about all data, because if the data is in the right place from different sources, in the right format, and with the right accuracy, then we can convince Sri that now she is empowered to solve the problems, no matter what the problem is. So the tool should be capable of dynamically managing a data model irrespective of the ecosystem you're in. Your ecosystem could be some SAP, some Oracle, some Blue Yonder, some Infor, some Microsoft, some home-built systems, because UAE is known for so many applications built on Magento and all other platforms. Still, there are so many spreadsheets running around. But if the platform is capable of taking all the data, putting it into the right data model for the business, the data model should be unique, customizable for that business. Not like where SAP gives one data model and tells the entire world, this is my WMS data model. No. Every enterprise, whether you are customs, whether you are government for healthcare, whether you are ASWAC, whoever it is, you know your business, you know your customers, you know your data model. If this platform can allow you to start from somewhere very quickly with whatever you have, and enhance it to the level that you want, a clean data model, which can connect to any system you have, any partner system you have, any IoT device you have, or any spreadsheets. Anything that you want to connect, if that is doable, then she will be happy as a CEO. Then Mr. Tarek is all about AI. If I have made this data model completely metadata driven, in a minute, I can allow his team to select any data, complex data he wants, feed it into any data model that he already has. Sorry, not data model, AI models. All AI models are open source. But what is the challenge is she feeding the right data to him? Even if she takes time to build the right data model, it's only for building the data model. But the data at a faster speed has to go to Mr. Tarek so that Tarek can apply any AI model into it, and the platform should be capable of choosing the right model. Or compare few models and tell the business user, why did I choose this model? What is the variability of what's happening in customs? What should be fixed? And what should be fixed? How it should be fixed? Only then we are talking about, Arjun was talking about business outcomes, right? How can the business outcomes can be derived in the same platform? So if I summarize it, a platform which is completely metadata driven should be zero code, zero technical depth. It should be AI first, meaning it should adapt to any AI data model. It should produce and recommend and then explain why this data is this way, what is the variability, what should be corrected, what is the business outcome that the business is looking for, how can you achieve that through some alternate strategies. If this whole thing can be done in a platform in a metadata way, then you're talking about business agility. So as a programmer back then, even though I consider myself as a very good programmer, if you ask me to troubleshoot what I coded 6 months ago, it will take a while for me. I have to spend a week to even understand what I've done. So I have to tell you, troubleshooting that LCNC is a nightmare. That's one of the reasons why Mendix failed. That's the reason why IBM Watson failed. So the LCNC journey should be 95% codeless, maybe 5% code. It should be a composition which is in your native language, people can understand. And you can produce results, but AI will be the enabler for the technology. And if this is the journey, if every LCNC player here takes, then I can assure every enterprise that you can produce results and you can adapt to the changes that the market is facing, and you can even face the unpredictable nature of the business. then you can still produce the outcomes that the business are looking for. So the key thing is that a zero technical debt, right, completely adaptive, metadata-driven platform is key for that success. And that's what the research we wanted to do. So it took us 10 years, and then now I can tell Carolium is a platform which does exactly what I was talking about.
Many thanks, Mr. Shan. And in my personal expectation, that's if not now, very soon, I would expect the AI on top of the platform to even troubleshoot itself or help a lot in the troubleshooting, right? But talking about good programmers, talking about musicians, no, in the analogy that she made, Mr. Ammar here is part of that crew that helps build the code themselves. So, Ammar, how do you see this transition, from the traditional development that we had to low-code, no-code? So thinking of this as an organizational change, your team, training them, etc. How do you see this, please?
First of all, thank you for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. And yes, we are the developers. We are the ones that everything is run about in this session. And developers, you can say, they are not in the role of fighting the low-code, no-code. From a perspective of a software developers who are keep doing this custom or traditional way of software development, and then suddenly there are some platforms that came to the picture. These platforms are changing the game, to be honest. But there are some challenges. First of all, the mindset of the existing developers, they need to think different, because currently the technology is running very fast, not like before. Before, if you master something, a specific code or a specific language, you will live with it for a very long time. But nowadays, whatever you are mastering something today, tomorrow you will find like 3-4 different platforms, 3-4 different technology came to the picture. But normally, developers, they have this feeling. They don't want to feel that they are losing control of delivering the tasks. Because when things came to developer, this is the reality time. It came as a project. You have a commitment, you have time, you have a lot of things. Developers normally don't like to feel that they don't have the full control over the low code, no code. While their legacy or traditional way of development, they can estimate very easily. But recently, and this is a good, I believe, for all developers, they start thinking in a different way, because low-code, no-code platforms, it becomes very easy comparing with like 10 years back. Now you can do the very tough tasks in a very simple clicks. So it's helped you a lot, of course, for delivering the project. Yes, sometimes small things might take you some time, but again, if you make a balance or you compare between the time that you have saved with the complex stuff and the time that you are going to do in other task, again, it will win, definitely, the low-code, no-code. And recently, after introducing as well the agentic AI, which is, again, different approach of using assistant in your code. Yani this agentic AI now, it's work like assistant. They are doing the job. They are creating the code. But still, you cannot depend on that. The best part of this thing now, low-code, no-code platforms themselves, with their own experience in the market for the past, let's say, 20 years, they introduced the AI, the agentic AI. So they have their own experience plus the AI, because AI itself, it cannot do anything. And people, they are thinking that AI can do anything. The output of whatever it's generated, it is not 100% reliable. You cannot just take it and put it and deploy it into your production. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. And apart from the feeling that things are lost from the control, there are two other things for the developers normally, the debugging. And normally debugging in traditional way, it is easy. But in platforms, in some cases, you need to follow specific approach, different product. But overall, as an experience with this low code, no code, no. Now the business user, they are engaged in a very early stage, first of all. The audiences are now divided into two. You can target it, the business audiences themselves. They can start doing their small requirement, any internal processes. They can see result in a very short time, which is before to submit a proof of concept, it might take time. And in this time, even the requirement is changing. So you will be like racing the requirements versus having the initial version of your source code. But yes, as a developers, we all happy about what we have right now because the tools, it helps us a lot. It is saving time. It is increasing the productivity by far comparing with the traditional way of software development.
Very good.
Yeah, I think if I can add quickly, my 2 cents on that point would be for all the developers and coders, whoever are trying to build a journey or coming into it, I think you shouldn't call yourself as coders and programmers. You should call yourself as value creators, because whatever code you are writing at the end of the day is trying to create a solution. So you are a solution creator for enabling a business value. So your job is not just a coder. When you're coding something, you need to understand at the end of the day that code is generating what? It is solving a problem. Now by solving that problem, you're actually creating some value out there. So please don't undermine yourself by just calling and labeling yourself as a developer and a coder.
Very good. Just conscious of time, I will raise a couple of points and will ask my colleagues to briefly comment on what are the last message you would like to leave our audience with today? So a couple of things that come to mind. The first is we talked a little about efficiency and benefits. So the topic of ROI and benefit of implementing low-code, no-code is definitely something that we can touch upon briefly. The second is we also touched upon AI copilots generating code. How do we see this in terms of long-term vision for low-code, no-code platforms, as Caroline as an example, but not only. And briefly, Ammar touched it about the changes in agentic AI, but if there's anything else to add about that. So I'll start with Arjun, please. What's your last couple of cents for the audience, please?
The ROI part, before I get into that, is important to understand that when we bring a low-code, no-code platform into your ecosystem, it doesn't mean you get rid of everything else and then start using only low-code, no-code. Enterprise architecture principles remain true always. Whether you use low-code, no-code, or you don't use low-code, no-code, your data layer, your data ops, ML ops, everything needs to be in place. That's given. That's why when you are assessing the ROI of low-code, no-code platforms, you look at 3 things. You look at time to market. Obviously, this helps you deliver those or produce those micro solutions at a faster pace. You talk about the innovation metrics. It's not just about the cost, it's about the value that you drive and how you empower your workforce. Because at the end of the day, if I have a requirement to build a simple form for my campaign, do I wait for IT to create it for 3 weeks? Or do I enable my workforce, the business users, to run those or develop those micro use cases quickly? So I think LCNC is about giving the right tools in the hand of enabled business users to drive solutions at a much faster pace. New product launches, developing more solutions. So it's more for less, for more. More applications, with less resources, catering to more customer benefits.
Thank you very much, Arjun. Mr. Tarek, any final remarks, please?
Okay, I'll try to relate it anyway to the second question because it's relevant anyway.
Of course.
I would like to add, of course, to what Mr. Arjun said. Yes, of course, the ROI point, and I believe some of gentlemen start talking about this and that people start to be skeptical. That's very true, by the way, that many now are skeptical about the AI and because the ROI, how can I get back my investment? That's related to the first question, by the way, the trust. Here is the point, how to be fair, how is the bias, how is the credibility of the decision, how I can trust a decision that's taken, that it will not waste my money, in simple terms. So earlier, yes, it was just a matter of low-code, no-code tool about speeding up the process, but not anymore, or at least that won't fit anymore, because simply I can just get the application faster, run it without governance or whatever, without enterprise architecture, as Mr. Arjun stated, and you know, the usual thing, garbage in, garbage out, even if it's getting faster. So by having the governance built in by design inside what you are doing, the orchestration layer is actually telling why each step is taking, the reason behind it. Speaking of the Mr. Ammar said about the just AI by itself, yes, AI has tools after all, which they call it now multi-context protocol or whatever, calling other APIs. So what are the APIs that's called? What are the MCP that's actually used? What tools did you access? When I have all this information, definitely I will sleep at rest, leaving the AI taking this decision. That takes us to the last point, which is, again, it's about the low-code, no-code generations. It started, I believe, myself and Mr. Arjun was here maybe 1 year ago, and it was just starting. Yes, time passes by. So it just started to pick up. And then I just said something simple, that now AI will empower AI tools, which is very true, because the earlier stage was just building forms and this, you know, usual thing that is developing faster in a way. But still, the developer is taking over everything. Second wave, where this event that myself and Mr. Shan was there, that it started with empowering, the AI empowering things. But still, yes, you can build, again, the forms using AI. It can suggest some stuff, complete some development, whatever. Now we are in the agentic where the AI is building the application. That started now, meaning, like, I don't like to mention suppliers, by the way, but I have seen it, of course, in many. You can just tell the AI, I want this and that. They call it intention detection. It will detect what I want. Speaking of the gentleman from the bank, I need something to detect the fraud from any customer or whoever is applying for loan. It will create this application for you. Of course, you have to review human in the loop and all that stuff. That doesn't mean that you just leave it like that. And governance, again, is stated inside. So that's the second stage. Third stage, and here I have to be so, you know, biased towards AI. Forgive me, I talked enough about governance now. The AI, yes, will take decision no matter what. Why is that? There is still constraints, but I'll give simple example. A car, like, considered on autopilot. The car is moving using AI. The AI is having the freedom to choose different routes, but again, will not speed upon certain speed limit. It's trusting the rules, there is governance here, but I'm giving the freedom for the AI to take decisions. Someone, a gentleman said about AI cannot just go and develop on its own or whatever, take decision, and speaking of example of Mr. Sally, or the movie as we know it, that's true. But AI, by the way, can do that as well. At least, if not now, later. That's the last wave, and they call it reasoning agentic AI, means it's actually learn and update. And this started, by the way, since you mentioned Claude. Anthropic now making Claude change the code. It can choose what to execute. It's not any longer, okay, go execute this, go execute that. No, it can choose what to execute based on what you want, based on the situation. That's agentic AI, reasoning agentic AI. So we built not for tasks, we built for agentic reasoning now.
Thank you, Mr. Tarek. Shri, final remarks, please. I apologize for the time, everybody, but
it's okay. Okay, so my final remarks would be for, you know, we all need to co-create a value together with mutual respect and appreciation. Yeah, there is a value of what business users bring in. There is a value what IT brings in. So we need to respect that aspect, and we need to co-create collaboratively all the value that we are doing. For all the people out there who are looking at making a career into data science, shed your fear. You don't have to be a coder to come into this industry. This is precisely the problem low-code, no-code platforms are solving. They are enabling you to pursue your dream of trying to be in data analytics and AI industry if you were trying to do something else. Look at me for an example. I've been 18 years a banker. I've done banking for 18 years. I moved into FMCG retail with no basics of food industry last 2 years, and I'm loving it. So shed the fear to do what you want to do, explore the industry, explore these platforms, learn, create value the way you want to. You know, we were always fearful to try doing the first things in our life any time. You know, that's the same with your career. So when you aspire something to do, here are these platforms helping you do. It's not only for the organizations, but you as an individual. You know, if you have a dream of pursuing this field, you can go ahead and do it. I mean, this is precisely the problem. You don't have to come from a technical background. You don't have to come from engineering. You don't have to be a coder, R, Python, all this. No, don't get scared. You know the industry, you know the data, you can create the value. You just need to believe. And with mutual coexistence in an organization, appreciating the fellow colleague, the value they bring in, we can do wonders. And I think we need to believe in that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shan, final remarks, please.
Where do I start? So almost about, when I moved to the US, initially I worked for like various companies. I even worked for an enterprise rental cars, a rental car company. But my supply chain journey as a developer and a consultant started in a company. It's Manhattan Associates. I'm proud to name them because they gave me a career. But they are still the world's #1 WMS software company. I still consult for them. But when I was there as one of the leading, technology leader and a design leader in warehousing, another friend from Colombia, almost 18 years ago, very young guy, he quit that company, started a WMS software in the cloud 18 years ago. Even this #1 company or the #2 SAP, #3 Blue Yonder, nobody thought cloud is the way to go. That young guy from Colombia in Atlanta, in USA, thought cloud is the way to go. Him and his wife named that company as Logfire. That is the WMS which is now owned by Oracle. So the story is, somebody thought cloud is going to stay. Likewise, AI is going to stay. Even the agentic AI is going to stay. I even personally published a month ago in the US an agentic AI framework for a warehouse and a manufacturing plant. It's going to stay. If these things are going to stay here, as Sri was pointing out, right? I really liked it how she's trying to attract everyone to come to that journey. So even in our Corodium platform, we call people, whether you are an IT user or a business user, we call them as composers, because we want them to produce the results as good as a musical tone. That I'm going back to her violin analogy, right? So the composer, you will become the composers. Our job as technologists is to make sure there should not be any fear. You embrace the technology. It's our job to give you a technology which is, as I said, right, 95% no code, 5% code, but there's a lot of capabilities that you can produce. Help your IT to modernize, help your business to see the value. End of the day, whether it is a return on investment is the first thing. For me, currently, return on investment has to be 3 months to 6 months, right? Nobody wants to sit on it. Even if you put the latest robotics in your manufacturing plant, nobody wants to sit on it for years. Within 3 months to 6 months, I want to see the results. But for me, more than the results, can you increase your top line? That's where we have to go. And I'm confident this agentic AI journey is going to stay. And even if you listen to Sundar Pichai's BBC interview last week, right? They are already not even thinking about agentic AI, right? They are already thinking about the next leap into the next technology. That's where the world are going to go. But the people like Tarek, Arjun, and Sri, and Ammar here, right, sitting here and just giving you the reassurance that this technology is going to stay here and you can adapt to it, modernize your journey from IT or from business, and not just your career and your business, even making this UAE, one of the pioneers and one of the most successful, one of the successful countries in adapting to technology. That's what will make you successful. That's one of the reasons, even traveling around the world, I can tell UAE stands out, one of the top companies which adapts to innovation and technology. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Shan. Mr. Ammar, final remarks, please.
I have a short recommendation for all developers. Nowadays, we have to be like open-minded to any new technology. We shouldn't judge the technology before we test it, first of all. And we can use whatever that it's helping us to fulfill the requirement. Requirements means I have to pick the right technology that is giving me the shortest way and the easiest way to fulfill a specific requirement. Not to try to squeeze my requirement to fit into specific technology. This is a common mistake most of developers they are falling on. They are trying to squeeze their requirement in that platform because that platform repetition is good. It is not like that. The technology made to serve our requirement, not the other way around. We are not here to serve the technology, to fulfill the technology requirement. No, it is the other way around, and that's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ammar. I will give you a few seconds, Mr. Tarek, because we're out of time, but please.
I relate all, actually. Exactly, I totally agree. It's actually, you have to align with the business requirements. The business is the driver. So for that, exactly what I wanted to say. I have many, actually, very good, AI over, LinkedIn profile, my YouTube channel, whatever, with amazing stuff that's going. Can I take those to production? No. Why? Simply because it exactly lacks what exactly Mr. Arjun talked about, the whole architecture thing, the low-code tools that will govern every part, the accuracy of every part, the responsibility. Those are so-called POCs. It's just you are trying proof of concept to make sure something, okay, good idea, let's take it now. But of course, the good thing, again, is I didn't touch any line of code. I was just reviewing what's going and correcting it. I can do it, but why? I have actually to be more productive. So that's the last thing I wanted to say. Thank you.
I think one just final word based on his statement is I think IT should thrive to collaborate, not to control. The moment you think to control anything, then you fail. The moment you think to collaborate with the business and co-create that value, then we succeed. That's for everything. Thank you.
Fully agree. Thank you very much, everybody, for having us. Thank you to the panelists for such an amicable and productive conversation. If you would like to discuss any of this offline, we're all available today or later. Thank you so much. With this, we're closing the session.